Welcome to A Closer Look. Foster care provides 24-hour temporary care and services for children whose parents or guardian cannot take care of them. Today we are learning about what it takes to be a foster parent. Joining me are foster parents Harold Phillips, John and Laura Dabrowski, and Stephen and Corbin Schwarman-Hayes. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
So tell me, what was your motivation to becoming a foster parent? And can you tell me how long you've been fostering your kids?
Sure. So we became licensed foster parents in September of 2021. Our first kiddo came to us in March of 22 for respite care. And so just about 2 years. Yeah, it's hard to believe, but it's been about 2 years. And I think for motivation, foster care has just always been something that I've felt called to do. It's been on my heart for really as long as I can remember, high school, college. It just was always there. Wow. And I've really been blessed to find a partner, my husband, who has supported that. So, and once we attended the Pride courses and really saw the need, that was certainly motivating for us. Absolutely.
You mentioned the Pride program. Talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, so it's a 6-week program, a training course that goes through a variety of different topics that are needed to become a licensed foster parent.
Okay. So tell me your story.
Well, I think Corbin and I always knew that we wanted to be parents, and for us, having my background in nursing was a big thing. We kind of understood going into it that there was a huge need for foster parents, and we just felt like we had so much to offer. And if it meant something that we could do for a child or a family of children that needed what we had, then we were absolutely willing to provide that for them.
Okay. And you're retired, correct?
That is correct. I retired from the Navy in October of last year after 30 years. I've always wanted to be a parent, and I started the foster care parent 8 years ago. I was a little uncertain about it at first, but I think it was a sign. You know, one day I was laying there on the sofa, and there it comes across the television, you know, become a foster parent. I got on the road and went over the high-rise bridge, and guess what I seen on the billboard?
Oh, no, a billboard.
And there it was. And so I
Foster
just
parent.
immediately went to the agency, and I just got the information that I needed and became a foster parent.
So what services are available for the support of these children?
There are a lot of services available. You can get in-home care, in-home intensive care, you know, for therapy. There's also outside care that you can actually get. There's other services outside of Chesapeake Social Service, like Tidewater's Friends in Foster, and they provide Christmas stuff for the kids, and they do a lot of services. Even the YMCA, they can go swimming, get certified in swimming.
So a lot of these children are coming from situations that may not be necessarily the best situation. How difficult is that? And can you talk about some of the challenges that you may have experienced?
Yeah, absolutely. I think most people struggle with mental health, particularly kids who are in foster care. And when you think about the services that are available, our kids have utilized a lot of the mental health support, and it has helped them to really thrive and grow and flourish. You're exactly right. These are kids that have probably seen and experienced more than we have as adults. And, you know, as foster parents or just parents, it's our responsibility to help them to figure out how to deal with that trauma and process it so that they can carry it forward with them in a positive way rather than letting it hold them back.
So giving them that safe place to land.
Yes.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think the safety and stability and the loving home, you know, is definitely needed. And like you were saying, being sensitive and aware to some of the challenges and trauma that they've experienced, and then how we can help support them through that.
So tell us about your current kids. Tell us, we talked a little bit about before the interview, but tell us about, like, maybe how many kids you have and what it's like.
I love that question. So we've had 5 kiddos come into our care since we became licensed, 3 of which were for respite care. And currently we have a 1-year-old who will be 2 in a few months, and a 2-year-old. So they're 7 months apart. They're amazing. They've been such a blessing. And I think supporting them and seeing them thrive through the support that we have has just been incredible. They're amazing. They're doing great.
For me, I have 5 boys, ages 16 till the age of 8. Challenges, I got teenagers.
Enough said, right?
So yes, I have a lot of challenges in my home, but it was difficult in the beginning. Having to bring a child into your home, not knowing their background, getting a small snippet of what they've actually been through, but you being there each and every day, you get to witness some of the trauma that they're actually going through, and you have to adjust how you're doing things so they can actually be able to adjust and adapt to what's going on in your home. Social services is always there. They're always there to lend a hand when you are having problems.
And how about your little one?
So we have 2.
2, okay.
6 and 7. I think the most rewarding since they've been in our home was just seeing them grow from day one. I mean, our little one, when she came, she was 4 years old and was timid more than ever. Everything made her nervous, super shy, and now she wants to wear full gown dresses and is able to express herself, and we're really seeing it all come to light. And then our little boy is 7, and he is more than active than ever and is loving sports, and just seeing them grow has been the best thing ever.
So that was going to be my next question about the rewards. So that definitely has got to be rewarding to especially see a child that has come in who is scared and who's been through that trauma to sort of grow and blossom.
Yeah, absolutely. For us, when our little one came into the home, he was only 2 weeks old. We were brand new at this whole thing. We had about 48 hours to prepare. And so waking up every 3 hours to feed him, certainly integrating a new schedule into an already busy schedule, but just the reward has been incredible to see them thrive, and just, running around, talking, jumping, laughing. It's just been incredible. So that, and helping those in need has just been so rewarding.
Would you say it's changed your life?
It's dramatically changed our life. We've, like she said, adding a new person to your home is always going to have challenges, but it has been very rewarding to bring the little ones in and to be able to provide the safe environment for them to be able to thrive.
Yeah, that's definitely, I think, such a big thing that some of us take for granted is if you grew up in a sort of normal household, to not have that security or to have other traumatic things going on that are no fault of your own.
Right.
So definitely. Yep. So why do you think foster parents are needed in Chesapeake?
Oh my, there's so many reasons. I would say, these are kids that are in need.
Right.
And to your point, that it's to no fault of their own that they're in the foster care system. And so really the need for great foster parents, it will never go away. And so finding families or encouraging families to open your home and your hearts to these kids, whether it's for a very temporary amount of time in respite care or whether it's a true foster placement that's going to be with you for a while, you are really doing something that is going to change their life, and they will remember you and that experience forever, and it will shape them into who they are to become. So for us, it's been so wonderful to see our kids become confident and come into their own and figure out who they are, and to be able to see them interact in the world and take the lessons that we've given them to be just better people is really rewarding to see.
And I think just because you may have had a rough start and doesn't mean that's the way it's always going to be.
No.
And I think that's so important for kids to realize that.
Absolutely.
So if you wanted to foster, say I wanted to foster, I don't need to do it long term, right? There's that need for maybe a temporary situation. So if somebody wants to foster, there are definitely different degrees that you can do that. So I want to just thank everybody for joining me today, and I want to thank you for opening up your heart and your homes to these kids. That's so nice.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And thank you for joining me. And for more information on becoming a foster parent, please contact Chesapeake Department of Human Services at 757-382-2249 or visit cityofchesapeake.net.